Hey guys, Ash Lane here, coming at you today with a 3-star expert interview with Crips from Red Elite. It is his first time on the channel. I really enjoyed this conversation all about queen walks. I hope you guys do too. So without further ado, gonna go ahead and bring Crips in. Enjoy, guys. All right, so I am joined by Crips. Crips, what's going on, man?
Hey Ash, how you doing?
I am doing well, and this is just continuing the series of having. I think eventually I'm going to get every single one of our clanmates on the channel because, you know, we have some great attackers, and you're one of them, and you're one of our most prolific queen walk guys in the clan. So I thought I'd have you on, and you can talk us through Town Hall 11 queen walks.
Yeah, definitely, man. Be happy.
Sweet, excited to do it. So I guess we should start off by saying that before the update, the Town Hall 11 update, you actually were more of a Mass Witch / Go-La-Loon type attacker. What made you switch to Queen Walk? Because you've been doing Queen Walk into the Mass Witch since the update, pretty much.
Yeah, Mass Witch was originally what I was doing pre-Town Hall 11. And, I mean, I found it to work pretty well, running over Town Hall 11, Town Hall 10s with single Infernos, or at least one single Inferno. But I transitioned over to the Queen Walk at Town Hall 11 because of the Grand Warden. He kind of allowed me to save an extra spell instead of having to bring an extra freeze. And then I merged the Queen into the main attack.
Okay, yes, I see a lot of this, and a lot of our clanmates are doing the same thing. I know, like Morph and Arrow and Geo, like a lot of the guys are doing this, and you've been having, you know, some of the biggest, and Tron too has been having a lot of success with it, but you have as well. So I really was hoping that I could ask you a few questions about the strategy, and on top of that, you can maybe walk us through a couple of your recent raids.
Yeah, definitely, man. Let's do it.
So as I pull up the first raid, I have another question for you. Now, your objectives on the Queen Walk, does it change based on the base that you're attacking, or is it pretty much always the same? Do you know, like, how do you decide where to drop your Queen and the healers, and what is your goal for the Queen Walk portion of the attack?
Well, the main goal is to clear a quarter of the base, around 20-25% with the Queen on her walk. You don't want to really go into a base where there's a group, a dense group of point defense, just because the healers can't keep the Queen up through that unless you need a rage or use of her ability. So you just try to look for some bases that have some good spacing between defenses, and also you look for the air defenses to be a bit central but reachable by the Queen if you need to break her into a compartment to get them.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. You must be targeting. I'm actually pulling up the first base that we're going to be reviewing, the first attack we're going to be reviewing, rather, from the Ferocious War. Now, I'm looking at the base right now. If you have it pulled up, tell us what about this base made you think it was a great choice for a Queen Walk.
Well, the defenses were pretty well spaced, and just looking at the base, I figured I could get about a quarter of it taken out by coming around from the northeastern section around 3 o'clock, just to break the Queen in right above the mortar and have her clear out from around the Dark Barracks up to the very north point of the base. Also, getting the Eagle Artillery out of the way would be pretty helpful too.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I actually tried one of these attacks live against a base like this, and I got like a 96%. It was a heartbreaker. My question for you is when I did this attack, I decided to break in right over here, which is basically I broke in the wall in the northeast near that max level cannon.
Okay.
And I broke through that little tiny wall instead of where you broke in, which I believe is on the outer layer wall, right? And like closer to 3 o'clock?
Exactly, yes.
So why do you do that? I'm trying to think of where I went wrong there.
I figured I wanted to merge the Queen into the main attack, and I figured if I could get this whole middle section where the Dark Elixir storage is, if I can clear out that whole middle section plus a little bit below it, then everything would just funnel straight in from about 10 o'clock straight to the middle of the base.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, one more question before we get to the actual replay. I noticed that you have 3 golems in your attack. Is that a pretty standard troop composition, and how do you change that now that the Eagle Artillery is doing triple damage to the golems, or do you change that?
You know, I haven't changed it. This is actually the same army composition that I used when I was pushing up to Legends a couple of weeks back. So it's pretty universal for me. I haven't really noticed much of a difference on the Eagle Artillery as far as golems. I mean, I can try to take it out before it activates.
Yeah.
A lot of the times.
Yeah, and especially a base like this is probably perfect to do that. Let's go ahead and hop right into it. You ready?
Yeah. We'll go ahead and press replay.
Okay. So we are live. Why don't you just go ahead and just kind of talk us through what's going on in your mind throughout the course of the raid, I guess.
Okay, so basically I'm going to drop the queen right about here to have her take out some of this defense and break her in that first wall at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And so I'm just going to let her keep working around, basically just to clear this whole section, the midsection, and a little bit below that where the barracks are, so that when the main attack comes in from 10 o'clock, everything will just funnel straight through.
Now you trigger the clan castle over here, so is that your goal as well? Is it triggering the clan castle, or is that just kind of symptomatic of the base that you're attacking?
Exactly. Like, it wasn't necessary, but, I mean, it's nice, just to get that out of the way.
Great.
The only problem that could present is it takes a little bit of time. So for the queen has to kind of sit there and chew through the hound, and so then I drop a couple of wizards to help speed along the process with the pups and make sure the healers don't take too much damage.
Okay, that was a smart move.
Yeah.
My question for you now too is that are you confident at this point that I know you've probably attacked this type of a base before, but is your eye really closely on that queen's health at all times are you prepared to have to use a rage on those healers if you have to?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is a lot. I know it's not the main attack, but it is a huge part of it because that's going to merge into the main attack. So it's very important to keep your queen alive. So I'm always finger on the trigger as far as I have a rage already picked on, and if I need to, in emergency, use the queen's ability, then, I can do that too.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, it's so pivotal to keep that queen alive, and you can see the rest of your attack obviously coming in right now. What made you use 2 jumps versus Earthquake?
I don't know. That's just been kind of my standard composition, and I've gotten used to using 2 jumps. Cook time, it's probably better to use the Earthquakes, but as far as giving more versatility to a base, I would say jumps is the way to go for me.
Okay, I noticed you use your Grand Warden Eternal Tome ability pretty early on. Is that basically just to try to navigate away from those giant bombs or mitigate the giant bombs?
Yeah, so I knew there was going to be a giant bomb right below the clan castle next to it. And I wanted to make sure that, being that I have the Grand Warden, it kind of acts as a freeze. So I can use that as the first way of saving the attack to prolong it, and then use the second freeze on the back end for the Inferno Tower.
Okay, great, yeah. This is a very nice attack. At this point, you obviously know you have it in the bag.
Yeah, right here, the only issue I'm worried about is time. So
okay, yeah.
I popped the queen ability to help speed along the process, and then I figured everything, at this point you kind of realize, okay, it's going to get cleaned up.
Yeah, very nice attack. So you pretty much use the same army composition, and you kind of look for a base to match what you're comfortable with for the most part? Is that pretty much accurate, or...?
The only thing that I changed for this raid as far as army composition was adding 2 more wall breakers, because I needed to break into 2 different points of the base. Normally I can use a jump, just the 2 jumps actually, and that'll allow me to get in from 2 different points, one breaking in the queen and one for the main army. So that's the only thing I changed for this base. So I just dropped a wizard and added 2 wall breakers. That was it.
Okay, and let's just say in a worst case scenario, you had to use a rage on your queen. I think the attack could probably still work out without having to have the 2 rages, right?
In hindsight, after I did the raid, I figured a third jump would have probably been okay to actually exit that central main square. Because I figured I would have had to use a rage on the queen, but she just didn't take too much damage, so
Yeah.
it ended up working out better. So
Okay, great. Yeah, because I actually had an epic queen walk fail in a Patreon war, so embarrassing. But I just had one today, and I brought 3 rages just in case, because you know what? I was like, it better be safe than sorry. If I have to have if I have to use all 3 to keep my queen alive, I will. And
right.
of course, I ended up needing, 2 of them and the queen ability because it was an awful. I picked an awful start point, but I'm trying to get better. I think I busted my queen in where I shouldn't have. I should have just let her walk around a base, but maybe I'll bring that fail in an upcoming war recap. But let's go ahead and move on to your next raid against number 10 in the most recent war. Now, the reason I wanted to show this attack is because it's not a 3-star attack, but it was a base that was previously, I think it was failed against, so there was no stars on the base. So you had to have kind of play things safe, while at the same time have at least a high percentage result, if not a 3-star. So maybe you can just walk us through this attack and maybe what you could have done differently to get the 3rd star and why you chose to queen walk it?
Definitely, yeah. So I'm looking at Johnny from Blade Master. And so basically, I wanted to break the queen into the compartment about 4 o'clock in the southeast down here.
Yep.
And the idea for this was to clear out that compartment and then clear out the expo to around the other expo at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
So by doing that, I can then bring the 2 jumps and jump over from, I think, the builder's hut at 2 o'clock. And then the second jump would go over the cannon area. And that will allow the main army to come in to basically enter the entire rest of the base.
Okay, I noticed that you chose... well, I guess tell us a little bit before we get onto the replay about why you chose to attack there. I know a lot of people... You'll notice there is a single target and a multi-target Inferno Tower. You chose to go into the single target. I think conventional like Mass Witch, I think you would probably want to go into the multi. I guess everybody has their own preferences, but I like to get the multi out of the way with on a traditional Mass Witch. Why do you decide to queen walk into the multi? Into the single, rather, sorry.
Well, I actually wanted to take out the enemy queen.
Yeah.
That was my primary target. I knew if I came from the other side, I would have had to deal with the king, which, I mean, he's not going to do too much damage at the beginning of the raid, or at the end of the raid, excuse me. So I figured best to get the queen out of the way as early as possible.
Perfect. Let's go ahead and watch it.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and push play here.
Great.
And so basically I just dropped the queen. She should come out here.
This is where you're wiping off your hands, making sure.
Yeah, getting everything ready.
Yep.
So I just dropped the wall breakers to get her inside here and just let her do her thing and get some work done.
Now at this point, I would be really scared entering here. Personally, I would be really prepared to use a rage spell, and I'm assuming that's what you do?
Yes, so I'm going to pause it really quick.
Yep.
And so I dropped a poison over the enemy queen to slow her rate of fire.
Smart.
It's not, yeah, so it's not much. It's not going to slow her down too much or, literally take a sliver of health off, but it's going to be enough with a rage on my healers and queen to take her out.
All right, I'm going to press play.
Okay, we'll press play.
All right. Okay, so there's your rage.
Yes. And
wow, that is a noticeable difference in fire rate.
Yes. So
wow, I've never seen that done. That's a great tip.
Yeah. So and you don't do it all the time, but it worked out with this base. So yeah, I figured why not. And so we'll let the queen finish up here, and then she'll move a little more south. and she'll take out the Wizard Tower and the Expo, and then she'll need to break in on her own to that middle compartment there. So I'm going to let her do some more work, and once she breaks in there, she'll move on to the Eagle Artillery. And once that goes down, or at least near to going down, then I'll bring in the main army around 2 o'clock here.
Okay, great.
So
she's
we'll let
on
her...
that Eagle Artillery. You're dropping your jump spell at this point.
Yes, so both jumps go down. There go the golems, and then the main army comes in just to clear out those outside buildings, and then the witches come in.
Okay, great. Things look to be going pretty well. You just popped your Royal Cloak ability on the Queen.
Yeah, you know, this base, this was supposed to be a 3-star attack ideally, but it's so compact down there, and the Queen ran into the Multi-Inferno, and those 3 Teslas popped up, so, you know, it was just a last-ditch effort, try and save her as long as possible, but I knew she was going down at that point.
Yeah, she was in a trouble zone there,
right.
Heading west in the base.
Right.
But the attack itself, though, you can see, you already have, obviously, the 2-star at this point. It's a safe 2-star, which is nice. You don't really, with a Golaloon or even like a Go-Ho that you don't see too often at Town Hall 10 or 11, but even when you do, it seems like it's really, you know, sink or swim. And the beautiful thing about these 3-stars, and the reason that so many people are transitioning to it seems, is because you have a high probability of getting at least 2-stars with a high percentage, you know?
Yes, yeah, because, I mean, you let the Queen, you know, work around and get about 20-25% of the base. I mean, that's halfway to 50 already. Then you're only relying on your main attack for another 25%, and with that, they can grab the Town Hall as well. So it's a pretty safe 2-star.
Great. As we watch the rest of this attack, I guess I just have a couple last questions for you before I let you go. Thanks for being so generous with your time. My question number 1 would be, is to somebody who's maybe a Town Hall 10, or who just upgraded to Town Hall 10, or maybe who just upgraded to Town Hall 11, and they haven't done much queen walking, but maybe they are familiar with other 3-star strategies. Do you have any word of advice to how to get better at, you know, knowing the intricacies of queen walk and you know, basically how to become a decent 2 or 3-star hit attacker with queen walk?
Yeah, you know, I guess the main tip would be not to be afraid to use the Queen's ability or a rage spell on her initial 20 to 25% clearing of the first portion of the attack. Before I had got into Queen walking, I was not wanting to waste the spell. I figured it was a waste to drop a rage or to even just use her ability. So I would just say, don't be afraid, don't hesitate to use the rage or her ability on that walk, just to keep that portion of the attack alive.
Okay, that's great advice. And I guess before I let you go, my very last question for you is, are you in the gang, the Crips?
No,
how'd you come up with the name?
The name, you know, I don't know. It just sounded like an intimidating name. And I don't know. At the time, I think me and one of my friends were throwing out some names, and that one just stuck for me.
Yeah, because at first I wasn't sure if it was like a nickname or something, and then I saw that your mini is indeed named Bloods. So I was like, okay, yeah, it's. But
yeah, you know, once I made Crips, and then I only made my mini maybe a couple of months ago. So I figured I had to, you know, if I committed to Crips, I got to do Bloods.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm sure the demographics from like South Central LA will go sky high in this episode.
Well, I am from Long Beach, so...
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, man, thanks so much for being a good sport and, like I said, being so generous with your time. I think some really useful advice and tips, so hopefully we'll do it again sometime.
Sounds good, Ash. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
Okay.